smoke and alcohol we drink. I think a lot of that stuff is to cover up the fact that at the ground, at the very base of what we are, we don't like ourselves. At the very base, we feel like we should be different. And so we pop pills to make us feel better about us. We go to the strip club where we are addicted to any number of things. May I tell you, if all we're doing in the church, if all we're doing in the church is piling more rocks on, giving people more, you should be this, you should be that, then I think we are failing them because we are not introducing them to the one person that can make a difference in their lives. We are not introducing them to Jesus. Here's something I'm writing about Thomas Merton's book, Seeds of Contemplation. To be authentically yourself, though, is not an easy task. Merton knows how difficult it is to get rid of the old false self and become the true one. Most people have spent their lives strengthening their false self. In New Seeds of Contemplation, Merton talks about the self that pursues pleasure, money, and power. He calls it something that is unreal. He says that the false self is the one we want to project to the world. Merton's image is that of an illusory person that is wrapped up in the bandages of status, possession, and other wants. So Merton shows us a hollow person covered with the clothes of bandages wound around to cover the emptiness like the invisible man. I remember as a kid, my grandmother Hardy, who lived in the country, always made biscuits every morning. She had a little rolling stand that had a wooden top. And she had a drawer that was full of flour. There was always a measuring cup in that drawer. The way she made biscuits was she'd put a bowl on top of that. She'd take the measuring cup and she'd go to town with it. And then she'd put some eggs over in the bowl, and she'd put milk in the bowl, and all the other stuff that went in it. And she'd stir it up. When it was kind of blob, she would put the bowl aside and throw it down on that butcher block top. And then she'd take that cup, she'd put a little more in it, she'd go at it for a while. She'd put a little more flour, and she'd go at it for a while. I'd say, Grandma, what's your recipe? She says, I don't know, it's not done yet. She'd put a little more in there, and she'd go ahead for a while. And finally, she'd stop. She'd say, it's ready now. I said, Grandma, how do you know it's ready now if you don't have a recipe? You see, when I bake, it's just like I take a cup and I put it in the flour. And I take a knife and go across the top and hold it up. And I hold the water glass up, to make sure I've got the measuring cup right at that 1.5 cup. And it still doesn't turn out right. Well, see, they taught me about parallax in chemistry, where the water really goes like this, and so you got to do it at eye level. So that's what I was trying to do it at eye level. I got to scoot down, put it on the, But Grandma, she can make perfect biscuits every single morning from scratch, without a recipe, without anybody telling her what to put in it. And when they were done, you could see her just fiddling with it. A little salt, a little more. How do you know that it's done, Grandma? It just, she said one day, it just feels right. When you're a Christian, and Jesus has come into your heart and changed you a lot of times without you even knowing that you're changing you. How do you know done? Do you know that you're done because you obey the 10 Commandments? Do you know that you're done because all the addictions are gone? Do you know that you're done because you're joyful all the time? Do you know that you're done because you're rich? Do you know that you're done because you're healed? Do you know that you're done because you read your Bible? Do you know that you're done because you pray every morning? Do you know that you're done because you have a halo over your head? You know that you're done, and by the way, you're never done. You know that you're on the road to being done because it feels right. Because if we're honest with ourselves, we've been carrying around these heavy, heavy burdens for most of our lives. Listen to Jesus. Only place in the New Testament. Listen to Jesus. Come to me. Come to me. Don't go to the preacher. Don't watch the TV. Come to me and I will give you rest. Not the rules will give you rest. Not tithing to the church will give you rest. Not being holy will give you rest. Not reading your Bible. Come to me and I will give you rest. And that's the only hope. We're never going to have rest until we come to Jesus. And then when it's right, we'll know it is right. If you look at if you look on Google for pictures of St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York, you'll find that there's a picture of St. Patrick's that a lot of people see the text. It's across the street, and there's a statue in the foreground in the plaza of a building across the street. It's a statue of Atlas, Atlas from Greek mythology who held up the world. The statue of Atlas, the world is just kind of a bunch of strips of bronze or brass, but Atlas has been over. Atlas is holding the world on his back. And the statue looks like Atlas can just barely manage, like me with number 8 going up the steps. Atlas can barely hold the world on his back. That's how a lot of people view Christianity. I can barely hold it up. Now, if you go across the street and you go into St. Patrick's Cathedral, and you go around the walls and you look at all the shrines, there's a shrine where there is a statue of Jesus about 8, 9, 10 years old. And in that statue, Jesus is also holding up the world with one hand, like a basketball. Come to me, and I will give you rest. See, if you're carrying around heavy stuff, I don't care if it happened this morning, it happened when you were 16 years old, it happened when you were divorced the first time, or married the first time, whatever. I don't care when it happened. Here's what I want. If you brought it in, leave it here. If you came through the door with it, don't go out with the same burden. Leave it right here. Let Jesus have it. Whatever it is. Let Jesus hold up your world for you. Because you don't have to run around like Atlas. Last week I suggested that maybe we should have more joy in our lives. And I do believe that. I think we ought to have more joy in our lives. I think Pastor Carl thinks that. But here this week I want to give you something practical. You are not going to have joy as long as you're carrying around those heavy rocks. Come to me. says Jesus. And I will give you rest. Well, here we have the hymn of invitation. If you're not a member, but you've been visiting, you'd like to join with us, you can come. If you've never made a confession of faith and you'd like to make one, you can also make one. I don't know, we don't rededicate at this church. You notice that? We don't disciples don't rededicate. But you know, there may be a time for you to say, hey, I've been carrying something around I need to get rid of. You need to get rid of something. You can come too this morning. We won't hold you to anything. We won't make you sign any statements. But if you want to come, maybe you can't come. If you've been carrying a rock around that you need to dump, you come dump it. Let's pray. Let's sing. Give an invitation.
Let's stand and sing all three verses. Go forth now. Go with God. Let God go before you to guide you. Let God go beneath you to lift you up. Let God go behind you and above you to protect you. Let God go beside you to be your friend. Go now. Go with God.
Morning. How are you doing?